Hello everybody, my name is Estrella and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made my channel art. This is part 1, this is my channel logo. So without further ado, let's get into it. First, I take a ruler and I start marking out some boundaries for my art. While this isn't necessary for every project, and it's not necessary for this one since I'll be cutting it out later, it's good to keep the habit for when it does matter. And it also helps me to visualize what kind of space I've got for my letters and my shapes to go in. I have a stencil with some different sizes of stars, and I just move it around on my page until I have the right size and position for the star I want. Then I take my pencil and I lightly trace it around the star. Then I go in again with my pencil and I sharpen up some of the points which were more round to begin with. I simultaneously make the lines bolder while I do this. And this way, when I erase my letters, it won't erase the star with it. Once I'm finished with that, I go ahead and I add the trail of my shooting star, which is where all of the letters, apart from one of them, are going to go. I'm using my pencils to write out where I think the letters will go, but I'm not worrying too much about precision and neatness here because this isn't the final draft. A lot of times I start from the middle of the word to get the spacing on either side right, but because the focal point of this picture is that star on the left and not the center of the paper, I don't have to worry about that today. I go from the left to the right and it makes things a lot easier. As you can see, I was immediately unhappy with that first letter A, but that's alright because I just erased it, took a pencil in and redrew it the way I wanted it to look, and I think it looks so much better. I take a black fine liner and I go over those letters again. I'm still not super concerned over making it super neat since it's still not the final product. I'm going to transfer it onto at least one more piece of paper before the final result is shown, and there's still time to make small changes to my drawing if I need to. The tracing and transferring parts of hand lettering are my favorite parts to do. I just get to sit back, listen to some music, relax, and it's just super fun. I don't need to worry about how it's gonna look, I just need to trace what I see and make any tiny changes that I want to make in the process. It's just so fun. Now I do the same thing that I did with my letters to my star and its shooting star-like trail. I just trace over it in a black fine liner, making sure it's roughly the same as the pencil, and still not worrying about adding or changing anything ever so slightly. I do try to be more careful with the trail of my shooting star, because if those curves aren't right, then I'm going to have a difficult time tracing the letters where they ought to be and getting the visual right in my head. So as long as I make those decently good, I can change a little bit later and it should still be okay. So I know how I said earlier that the tracing and transferring bit of hand lettering is my favorite, but I may have just been wrong. I think this bit is. What I've done here is I've traced my original design onto a fresh piece of paper without any of the letters on it, and now I've taken a palette of decorating chalks and I'm using a cotton bud to apply the colour onto the paper. This means that it'll still have a nice coloured tone, but it's not going to be as vibrant and eye-popping as it would have been if I had used things like markers or crayons or pencils. It gives a nice subtle tone and just makes it look so much cooler. Now I take a cotton pad and I rub the yellow and the orange colours that I'd used together to blend them and make the star look a bit more of a golden yellow colour rather than just yellow or orange. I now do the same thing that I did with the star itself onto the trail of the star, only this time I use blue instead of yellow and orange. It took me a while to realise that I need to rub the cotton bud quite firmly on the page to get it to look right though, and that took a while for me to learn. Then I take my cotton pad and I do exactly the same thing that I had done before, just this time on the trail. This time I'm doing the exact same thing except with magenta chalk instead of blue chalk, and as you can see it went on a lot brighter than the blue chalk did, which was something I didn't anticipate. I put some of the magenta chalk on top of the already existing blue chalk as well, and then I rub it all together with a cotton pad. My hopes in doing this is that it'll blend the colours together and give a nice transition from the blue to the magenta, and I think it did alright. I now do the exact same thing I did with the blue and the magenta chalk, only this time with red. And while it did come out a bit uneven on some bits of the paper, I try and even that out later with the cotton buds and the now very messy cotton pad. Now I take that very same, very messy cotton pad and I blend all of the colours together, trying to make it as smooth and as neat as possible. And there we go, that's it finished. I think it looks great. I have my light table and I place the coloured shooting star on top of the shooting star with the letters on it. Then I turn it on, line the stars up, and with a pencil, I trace the letters from the bottom drawing onto the top one. I take my coloured fine liners, blue, magenta and red, and I trace pretty much exactly over the pencil lines that I see on the page. I'm using the blue fine liner on the blue chalk, the magenta fine liner on the magenta chalk, and the red fine liner on the red chalk, and I think this pulls it together so nicely. I take those same 3 fine liners from before, plus a yellow one, and I use them to outline the star. This way it makes it seem like the chalk is in fact not just discontinued on the page, and it gives a nice, clean, neat edge to everything. I take a pair of scissors and I use them to carefully cut around my star, being really, really careful not to cut into it at all. Now I'm using my decorating chalks once again to clean up the edge of the shooting star and to make it look like it's kind of faded out a little bit. I use the scissors to very carefully cut a slight rounded edge onto the star to make it look a bit neater overall. Now I get rid of any big white gaps on the edges of my paper and thicken out the lines to give it a clean look. This was pretty easy, although I did end up getting a lot of fine liner pen on my desk somehow. Final step, I take a tube of glue, liquid glue, and I use the smaller nozzle to gently apply it to the edge of my shooting star in a small amount so that it doesn't go everywhere when I stick it onto the page. Now I pick it up, line it where I want it to go on my paper, and I gently press the star onto the background. So I know I said I was done, but I decided to do one more thing, which was to go back over the capital A on my star and color it in black. This way it stood out more clearly against the yellow of the star, and it made this really cool effect, like the night sky had created that A on the star. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. What do you think of the finished product? If you enjoyed, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!